two events in the UK featuring an Islamist hate cleric have thankfully now been cancelled, but that is following a GB News investigation. The radical Islamic preacher has previously praised the 9/11 terrorists as brave lions and lauded the mastermind of the attacks, Osama bin Laden. He also thinks that anybody who offends Allah should be beheaded. So it's not exactly a lovely chap, is he? Why on earth was he allowed into this country? And more to the point, as far as I can see, is it not deeply concerning how many people in this country were willing to go and listen to this guy talk? GB News investigative reporter Charlie Peters has the exclusive story. Who is he? What's going on?
His name is Enayet Ullah Abbasi. He's a cleric from Bangladesh, and he's been in the country, we understand, for about a week now on a speaking tour. So far, he has successfully delivered two talks, one in Nottingham and one in Birmingham. Once we were aware that this man was in the country, we then started contacting the venues, the police, and of course the Home Office to alert them to this situation. So far now, these are the third. There's been three talks have been cancelled. Newham in East London was cancelled on Wednesday night after we got involved, and now we have talks in Leicester and Luton, both cancelled. Leicester was lined up for Sunday, Luton on Monday. You've detailed some of the extremist rhetoric that Mr Abbasi has delivered both in Bangladesh and abroad, but there is so much more. In fact, it was almost impossible to go through the reams of information that we had about this man before we went on air earlier in the week. Not only has he called for beheadings of non-Muslims, but also of Ahmadi Muslims, a very persecuted sect of the Islamic faith around the world. Indeed, in 2016, some of your viewers might remember the murder of Asad Shah, a Glaswegian shopkeeper. Two men from Bradford drove up to Glasgow and beat him so violently that all of the bones in his face were broken. So this direct incitement to violence against not only non-Muslims, but Ahmadi Muslims, we know it has an effect in the country. And the question we're asking of the Home Office is, how did he get in? And more importantly, why is he still here?
Yeah, no, 100%. These are pertinent questions. Why on earth was this guy allowed into Britain to go on, as far as we can tell, some kind of potentially commercial, bile-spewing radical Islamist tour? I think the other big question, as I said before, is how many people are willing to go and watch this guy. I mean, you look at these major cities and these major venues and you think, well, that should be concerning, that we have so many people in Britain who presumably agree with him. But what has the Home Office said when it comes to, you know, how this guy got in, whether or not they're going to just deport him now?
They've been very short on details, I imagine, because they haven't got much to tell us. They've said that the Home Office works with its partners to deal with those who sow hatred and division. Those are the direct words of the statement given to me by the Home Office. But I believe that they weren't aware when he arrived that this man was in the country, and they weren't aware of his radical past. So they were certainly asleep at the wheel when Mr Abbasi turned up. Since then, I think there is now a concern shared by many of the sources I've spoken to. The Home Office are just going to wait it out. He's only got apparently 5 more days of his visit in the country, according to the itinerary that GB News has seen. So I think some are suggesting that he'll just wait out the rest of his time and return to Bangladesh without a forced deportation. The problem we now have, of course, not only is that a very dangerous situation, having a radical, pro-violent, inciting speaker in the country, but also because GB News has been on top of these events and got them shut down, will he now go underground? Will there be the level of public scrutiny that we've been able to apply to these talks, or will he disappear from the radar? Will he disappear from the police, the councils and the Home Office? I think that is a very serious concern.
Yeah, absolutely. And well done, Charlie, for having a look into this guy and at least getting some of these talks cancelled anyway. I mean, doing the job that you could argue that the Home Office and the police force should be doing themselves. Charlie Peters, thank you. I will be talking to you again about this with a little bit more of an update later on in the show, so massively appreciated. It's Charlie Peters there, GB News Investigates reporter, with that exclusive story.